Hello, loves, and welcome back to Finding Joy. Today, we're going to explore 3 things you need in order to have more joy. It's like a joy prescription. So listen and see what you can take from this. I'm so glad you're here. Today, I want to talk about the work, the real work, the bravest work any of us will ever do. Let's talk about the JOY acronym. Just own you and what it means to just own you. Yes, joy is an acronym, and it's what this podcast is built on. Because at the heart of our work for our lives, it really is about owning who we are, loving who we are, and having the courage to go be that in the world. And with that as the foundation, we can build our best lives. That's it. That's the whole thing. That's the prescription. Let me get into the details. Because if it was really that easy, don't you think more of us would be doing it? Don't you think more people would be authentic and genuine to who they are? Today, I want to walk you through something I recently did in a retreat, and it was conveniently called Just Own You Retreat. And because what happened in that room and what came up and what eventually broke open, I know I had to, and I wanted to bring it here. I want to share the essence of joy, the 3 key pieces that we need in order to have more joy. And in order to make them more palatable, like cod liver oil in a pill form instead of in a spoon, I made them 3 personas that can help us on our own journey to creating our best life and finding our most joyful and most fulfilling life. The 3 things we need: grace, love, and joy. And together they form the map from clarity to confidence to courage. And so let's begin. And what makes this so hard, and this is where I talk about weaving the science and the soul, because it's one thing to know something, but it's another thing to have it embedded in how we live. And Gabor Mate in his work says that who we are and how we're born, we have 2 core needs. The need for attachment, to belong, to be loved, to be cared for and connected. And he talks about how babies are constantly looking for that feedback. What is their expression that they get in return when they do something from their primary caregiver? Are they accepted? Are they loved? Is there a feeling of celebration and joy over who they are when they genuinely express themselves? Because we have this core need. The other piece he talks about is attachment and authenticity. The core need to be true to ourselves, to be genuine. And here's where it gets hard and even heartbreaking at times, is when those 2 needs come into conflict, when being real might cost us our sense of belonging. We will almost every time choose attachment. We learn to fit in, to please, and to perform. We shrink, we soften our edges, we swallow our truth. We don't say what we think. We don't express ourselves fully. I often say that we are adult software running on childhood algorithms because this is how we're formed. And those early emotional impressions connect or grow into a part of our brain, the right side of our brain. And then we have the left side of our brain that grows later. And it's more that logical, more thinking part of our brain. But when the right side of our brain forms the foundation for our left side of our brain, and I know it's not actually that clear as far as left and right, but when a part of our brain forms early and it has those emotional patterns there, and then the other side of our brain tries to form some sort of logical layering over top of what is that childhood algorithm of reacting to the way that we were treated when we were young, it can make life extra challenging. And so our work is to know who we are, to get clear. What are those patterns? What are those conditionings? How do we show up even now? Mate calls the personality what we show to the world is often a mix of genuine traits and adopted survival strategies. Not always our true self, but oftentimes the loss of it and the layering of patterns and conditioning over top of that loss. And Brené Brown says it another way, that shame, that desire to belong, and when we don't experience it, that shame. It keeps us small and it whispers and sometimes shouts 2 messages. And I talk about this a lot with my clients and in my facilitation and corporate work. I'm not enough. And if we can get past that, who do I think I am? And those 2 questions form the armor of our lives. And that armor shows up in perfectionism, productivity, people pleasing, performing, and so much more. And all of it is armor. And it keeps us from being real and it keeps us from being seen. The Just Own You work is about taking the armor off slowly, not all at once, not recklessly, but gently, curiously, and with support. And with research-backed tools and techniques, which is what I share in my online program, in my newsletter, and with my clients. But for today, let's start with grace, because we all need it. Grace is clarity. I see you. Grace is the one who finds you in the messy middle. Picture her with strong arms, big biceps, and steady eyes. She finds you on the ground, gravel in your knees, tears streaming down your face. She doesn't try to rush in and to fix you. She doesn't judge. She just kneels down beside you and cups your face in her hands and looks at you. I see you, she says softly. I see you. You are not behind, you are not broken, you are not too much, and you are not nearly what you think you are. Grace is the essence of clarity. She helps you pause long enough to see yourself clearly, honestly, and compassionately. And here's what I know. So many of us are moving so fast, so caught up in doing, and so caught up in running away from the truth of who we are, that we never stop to see the goodness of ourselves at all. And clarity isn't about having the answers, it's about being willing to look, building awareness of who you are, your essence, what matters to you, what are your values. This is what I do with my clients, asking them and helping them to uncover, who are you really? In the retreat, I asked the participants to write for 20 minutes, gut reactions, no editing, to prompts like the greatest joy in my life, the biggest lack in my life, my greatest fear, my superpower. And I watched something unfold. People who had been moving at 100 miles an hour, successful, driven, they stopped and they paused. And in that stopping, grace arrived. And that grace is something I want for you too. Consider this question: who are you? I'll put this question in the show notes, but one thing that could be really helpful to get out of your busy mind and to let that more innate part of you flow and come to the surface is to write for 5 minutes without stopping. And how you can do that is just, you can pick up your pen to punctuate and move to the next word. If you can't think of something to write, just write, I can't think of what I'm going to write. And then start with the question again. Who am I? And see what comes up, and you will be surprised. Not what you think you should be, not what you wish were different about yourself. What is actually genuinely coming clear to about who you are, what you want, and what you need. And let grace find you there. Love, the second part of this prescription after grace. It is what science shows us is what helps us become more confident. And love, being love, says, I love you. And it's about coming home to yourself. Once grace has helped you see yourself, love arrives. Love is a lap and a swinging bench on her porch. She's got pillows and throws. She doesn't say much. She's like a quiet grandmother. She listens. She abides. She holds your hand while you talk. And love holds up a mirror and she traces every part of you. The beautiful parts, the broken parts, the brave parts, all of you. And she helps you to see the goodness of who you are. And she reminds you, you don't have to be perfect to be good, dear one. She reminds you that the places of brokenness, the ache, the cracks, that's part of what makes you precious. Like kintsugi, the Japanese art of mending pottery with gold. The break isn't the flaw, beloved. The break is where the gold goes, and where I would say the gold grows. Love says, I love you, not because you've earned it or because you've changed, but because you are here, human, tender, real, divinely designed to be just you. And that's the foundation of confidence. Real confidence isn't performance. It's not a persona for you to put on a presentation. It's not an act of self-acceptance. It's the heart of self-compassion. It's the willingness to stand in the fullness of who you are and say, this is who I am, and I can embrace all of who I am. Psychologist James Gilligan writes, the self cannot survive without love, and the self starved of love dies. The absence of self-love is shame. That feeling of I'm not enough, I don't belong, who do I think I am? We all know that feeling. And here's the question, where can you be more loving to yourself? Christian Neff, one of the leading self-compassion researchers, says the first component of self-compassion is to talk to yourself like you would a friend, with kindness. I take it a step further because I'm a jerk to myself. I say, talk to yourself like you would a suffering child who just fell off their bike. And you say, oof, that hurts. You're not analyzing their gait or wondering if they were clipped in or wearing chamois shorts or what their cadence was. They fell. They were trying. And you meet them where they are. You say, oh, that hurts. You recognize the suffering. And you pick them up in your arms. Not that harsh, self-critical tone, but genuinely notice. Where are you hard on yourself? Where do you withhold love from yourself? And the amazing things about brains is that you can be hard on yourself, but if you also have a voice inside your head that is encouraging, it can only tell with about 10% difference that that's not an external voice and that that's an internal voice. So it's just like you could be beating yourself up, but if somebody you really love and respect says, oh my goodness, look at you. How lovely are you? Your brain still takes that as truth. So be your own loving friend. Notice where you tell yourself that you're not enough and where you move from fear instead of love. Rumi said it so beautifully, don't move the way fear makes you move the way love makes you move. That's the invitation of love, to move towards yourself, towards others, toward the goodness and truth that resides in you, from the place of wholeness, not woundedness. And now we meet joy, and the third prescription is courage. The courage to go be you. Joy is grounded. She's a little fierce and alive. When she arrives, she's the one that reminds you, this is your truth. This is what matters. This is what alignment feels like. Don't ignore this. Joy is not fairies and pixie dust. And it might sound trite in a world that's suffering, but it's what we need. It's what we ache for. Joy is strong. Joy is grounded. Joy is truth personified. Joy shows up when we act or experience something that aligns with who we are and what matters to us. I wrote about it in my book called Finding Your Joy Spot, and how joy shows up almost as Reese's Pieces, like guiding E.T. I know that's an old reference. Or like little sparks, what I call joy spots that go, here, this is what matters. This is what feels meaningful. And in addition to that, joy is like a North Star where we find our purpose, because when we combine those little joy spots, we start to find and come back to the essence of who we are. Joy knows what you've been through. She knows what you are made of. And she takes you out of the small spaces where you've kept yourself safe, where you've hidden, where you've kept yourself small to fit in. And she throws her arms open wide and she says, this is all for you. All of this is for you. Look what's possible if you choose courage over comfort. And she says the word that are the whole point. Go be you. Not a better you, not a fixed you, not the you who has it all together. Just own you. Unfiltered, alive in your fullness. Joy and courage are so deeply connected. Think about a moment when you did something that took real courage. And maybe you said something honest that needed to be said. Maybe you stepped into something new that scared you. Maybe you simply showed up as yourself, no mask, no performance, and you let yourself be seen. How did joy show up in that moment? I know, and I've seen it over and over, that joy lives inside and on the other side of courage. It doesn't arrive always before, and it doesn't always come as a reward after, but it comes sometimes in the act itself, and sometimes it's just a little gurgle of your truth in the showing up. So the question isn't, am I ready? The question is, what would I do if I had more courage to be me? I often ask my clients, what would I do if I was 5% braver? Write that down, sit with it, and let joy take you there. Here we have it. Clarity, confidence, and courage. Grace, love, and joy. I see you. I love you. Now go be you. This is the work of joy. Just own you.